Guys, I think this might be the true Slayer Baron build. We throw out 5 Nova Bombs in the expert level 50 boss room alone, and then we also dropped 1,727 kills. When I saw those results, I was shocked myself. And that normally doesn't happen for me. I knew the build had potential with the changes this season in a few different areas, but I didn't think it would be this good in here. Also, you know what else was really nice? Those pesky Grim that spawn in that can easily overrun your team in these rooms, they didn't stand a chance. I would just Nova Bomb 2 out of 3 spawns, and then let my primary weapon handle the 3rd spawn. Now, speaking of weapons, I tested a lot of variations with this build to see what works best as our exotic weapon choice and our aspects and fragments. But I also didn't want to sacrifice anything within the build. I wanted good ad clear, I wanted good survivability, I wanted infinite supers, and I wanted good overall damage. So I set it up where you can get 2.5 Nova Bombs in one single wave of enemies, which you will see in the gameplay soon, but we didn't sacrifice anything for that. And that's why I actually didn't like bad juju with this build. It was my first thought to use it since it would pair nicely with what I'm trying to do, and along with our exotic armor piece, it also got a buff this season. But in the later waves of enemies, anywhere from 30 to 50, in the expert onslaught mode, the damage output starts to fall off. And if you're not keeping up the kills for the damage boost that bad juju gets, then you're going to struggle. Now maybe if you're just doing the normal onslaught playlist, it would work perfectly fine. So I actually ended up going with the Kvastov. I know you guys know how strong this weapon is, I've used it in a couple builds in the past. And it has the Eyes Up Guardian trait on it, where it's collecting those orbs of power strengthens the weapon's next several ricochet shots, and it provides more damage and more bounces between targets. And this thing is freaking strong. Now this is an exotic primary weapon, and the most super gain you get is by dealing damage with exotic primaries. And when exotic primaries start hitting really hard, that's when you'll see your bar just start jumping up. That's why I really liked Huckleberry on the Peacekeeper Titan. Well, the same thing happens with Kvastov here, but you're not sacrificing anything for that damage. All you need to do is pick up an Orb of Power, and it also has Shoot to Loot, which means you can pick up Orbs of Power from distance, which you'll see me do in the gameplay a ton. And when we pick up those Orbs of Power from distance, you get Void Overshields too. So 2 Orbs of Power gives you a max Void Overshield, which is a 70% damage reduction, and I can't stress how strong Void Overshields are now. And since Kvastov has that Eyes Up Guardian trait, when you pick up that Orb of Power and the shots ricochet, I can focus on higher health enemies and still kill everything around it and still get the crazy super regeneration rate. Now we're going to pair Kvastov with Skull of Dire Ahamkara. It's probably been a while since you guys used this helmet, and there was a slight change to it. Bungie added Weapon Final Blows while you have Devour grants super energy. And the first half of Skull's trait is Nova Bomb Final Blows will return super energy, and you can get up to 50% back if it kills enough enemies. So essentially what we're doing is getting that first 50% back by just chucking it out, and then getting the next 50% back by our beefed up exotic weapon. And then everything we're doing with our mods and our subclass is just beefing up our abilities, our survivability, and our weapon. Because the more outgoing damage we do, the better this will perform. So of course we take our Super Nova Bomb, right? And we run this on Prismatic. You want to take Phoenix Dive, it has a crazy short cooldown, and you'll see me use it all the time in the gameplay. We're going to take Arcane Needle. The main reason for this is because it is Darkness Energy, and because it applies the Unravel debuff. When you get that Unravel debuff going on waves of enemies or in the boss room, that is just more outgoing damage that is feeding your super. I do like Storm Grenade with the build. When we're running this in Onslaught, that Storm Grenade got buffed last season, and it's going to jolt entire waves of enemies, along with killing a lot of enemies. But the jolt debuff is really strong in horde modes like this. I actually ran my Arc Hunter with Raiju's Harness, and I think I dropped 1,400 kills in that one, which I haven't made a video on yet, but I think I might. But I don't know, Prismatic Hunter does pretty much everything Arc does, but better. Now for the 2 aspects, we'll take Devour and Hellion. Devour is just that free health on kill and grenade energy on kill, and that's great in horde mode. And then Hellion just spawns that Solar Mortar. It will do great damage, it will cause an ignition after it lands 3 hits, and it's great in the boss rooms or high health targets. And again, that is just extra damage filling our super bar. So every time that Hellion hits, it leaves Scorch on enemies and causes ignitions. That is just overall damage. Now for our fragments, for our 2 damage boosting ones, we take Facet of Dominance and Facet of Ruin. Dominance allows our Arc Grenade to jolt targets, but it also allows our Transcendence Grenade to weaken targets. So again, Jolt is just more overall damage, and Weaken just allows you to do more overall damage. And you're gonna have your Transcendence up in 10 seconds or less sometimes, so just pop that thing and use it, because that will help you gain your super as well. Facet of Ruin increases the Stasis Shatter damage, and that is for our Transcendence Grenade. And now we have the grenade weakening and doing extra shatter damage, so that Transcendence Grenade hits hard. But then we also get increased solar ignition's area of effect, and that plays perfectly into Hellion, so when those ignitions go off, it lets our damage reach further out. We take Facet of Grace. This is to pair with Kvostov. Defeating targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus Transcendence energy. This is what's going to fill your Transcendence bar so fast. Because our weapon is so strong, we're defeating so many enemies that you're just going to see your Transcendence bars fly up, trust me. And then the last two fragments is Survivability. We take Facet of Purpose and Facet of Protection. Purpose is to get those Void Overshields on orb pickup. We created over 400 orbs in this run, so you're always going to have orbs available, and you can pick them up from far away with Kvostov. And then Facet of Protection, you get that damage resistance while surrounded. It's 15%, but when you're using your Transcendence form, which you should be doing all the time, it goes up to 25% while you're in that form. So make sure you're using Transcendence. Now for the mods on the build, on the helmet, you're going to take 2 Ashes to Assets. You are throwing so many Storm Grenades out and so many Freezing Singularity, which is your Transcendence Grenade, that you'll get a ton of super energy coming back that way. And then you also want to take 1 Kinetic Siphon, so your Kvostov can spawn Orbs of Power. On the gauntlets, we'll take Firepower. Again, both grenades create Orbs of Power for us. Bolstering Detonation grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. This is pretty much proccing every 7 seconds because we're throwing out so many grenades, and it just feeds that Phoenix Dive, which feeds Hellion. And then we'll take a Kinetic Loader to reload that Kvostov really quickly. On our chest piece, that is all your damage reduction, so match the activities you're doing. I normally like to take each resist mod, an arc, a solar, and a void resist. On the boots, we take 3 kinetic weapon surges. This gives us a 22% damage increase in PvE for Kvostov. So when you pair that with the extra damage from Eyes Up Guardian by picking up an orb, it starts hitting really hard. And then on our class item, we'll take Time Dilation to make those weapon surges last 15 seconds. So it's a max of 45 seconds when you pick up 3 Orbs of Power, and then a Reaper mod, so when we use that Phoenix Dive, our next weapon kill spawns an Orb of Power. For stats on the build, aim for 100 Resilience, and then push your Discipline and Recovery up as high as possible. But Resilience is the only one you really need here. For the Artifact mod, really nothing benefits this season. There are a few little things here and there. One I would recommend that I did have unlocked is Trace Evidence. Rapid final blows on targets that are affected by Jolt, which is our Storm Grenade, can generate us Ionic Traces. And you see those Ionic Traces coming back to me in the gameplay sometimes. That's where those are coming from. I hope you guys give this build a shot. I know you'll enjoy it. It really did feel like I was a Slayer Baron out here just slaying left and right in this Expert Onslaught. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.